Welcome to the Varsity 845 Wrestling Podcast. This is the New York State Championship edition. I'm Sal Interdonato, wrestling beat writer for Varsity 845 and the Times Tower Record. And I'm here with Josh Conklin, who's all over the state covering wrestling and shooting wrestling, and even covering college wrestling too. Josh will be on the floor for us the weekend, and should be another exciting 2 days up at the Times Union Center in Albany. It's a little different this year for Section 9, Josh, because, last year we had 4 finalists. We had Ryan Farrow and Kendall Elfstrom win titles, and Noah Carreri and Mike Fekshezi go wrestle in the finals, and they're all in college now competing. And so it's kind of a little bit of a mix. It's some guys that have some experience up here in Albany, and some guys that are getting their first shot up in Albany on this. At least a Section 9 D1 team has 17 wrestlers. I believe 8 have wrestled in the state championships before. So you're looking at it, it's a little bit different year for Section 9, but you never know when you get into the matchups out at the Times Union Center, right? Anything can happen in the weekend, and there are some strong wrestlers in Section 9 this year, no doubt.
Yeah, definitely. Like you said, there is some people with some state experience. We have 3-time qualifiers, and Marco Vespa and Connor Griner making their third appearances in the state tournament, and Dylan Earl's second appearance. Like you said, they got some kids coming back with some experience, and you got some first timers as well. So it should be interesting.
Yeah, a guy who sometimes gets forgotten is Dom Vetrano too. He's going up for the third time too. So I think that there's another guy to look out for. We're gonna break down each weight class here. We'll start in Division 1, and we'll give you the Section 9 wrestler and how we think the Section 9 wrestler is going to do. Then we'll try to give you a quick overview of the weight class. Josh has a lot of perspective from Long Island and across the state. So we'll go 99 pounds. Middletown's Justin Morales. He's a sophomore. He's 31-3 this season. Justin had a great late second victory. He pinned Christian Prokosh of Cornwall with like a second left in his 99-pound final to win his first section title. And he draws Anthony Canetta of Massapequa. Josh, anything you know about Anthony Canetta of Massapequa?
Not so much about Canetta of Massapequa, but if he finds his way past that match, which he should, he'll face likely Chase Liardi of Massapequa, who he took a loss to earlier this year at Eastern States.
Wow, I didn't notice he could get 2 Massapequa kids. I knew he was getting possibly 2 Long Island kids at the same time. I didn't double check on the Massapequa teammates there. So Morales will wrestle. I mean, he medaled at the Eastern States. He's had a pretty solid season for Middletown. He's a little heavy. He's a heavy 99 pounder. So I don't know if that's going to help him at this weight class against maybe some younger kids. We'll see what happens there at 106. Greg Fisher, Newburgh senior, has had a great senior year. He placed at the Eastern States. He's 43-6. He was here last year as a at-large qualifier. So this is not his first time up in Albany. And, you look at Greg's season, and I think that Greg could it's a weight class wow. When I look at it, there's a lot of guys back that have some medals, but he could face Terry Adams in the quarterfinals if he can get back past Jay Carey of Lancaster, which I expect him to do. So Terry Adams was a finalist last year at 99 pounds, Josh. So Greg's going to have to really. He's a pretty consistent wrestler, so I expect him to give Adams all he can handle, and we'll see what happens in the quarterfinals, because I expect him to win the first round.
Yeah, Greg Fisher's solid wrestler, always seems to be in there with all the best kids. Terry Adams, a lot of state experience. That should be a good quarterfinal match. And yes, Greg Fisher Sr. trying to finish out on top, the best place he can get.
Yeah, I mean, at the top, the number 1 seed in this weight class is Matt Griffin, he's a multi-time state medalist who placed 4th here in the weight class last year. So, I mean, if the winner of Adams and Fisher would probably get Griffin in the semifinals. 113, it's Dylan Earl. He placed 5th at 106 last year at the States. Has had a really solid season, 35-4. Again, another wrestler like Greg Fisher. He wrestles consistently. Didn't place at the Eastern States, was a little bit of a surprise there. And where he finds himself in the bracket here is the 4th seed. He has a winnable match in the first round against a kid from Burnt Hills, and then he'll face. Help me out with the Wantagh kid's pronunciation of his last name, Aiden.
I believe that is Aiden Arrows, and yes, and Dylan Earl does have a victory over him this season.
Yeah, so if Dylan can get a second win over Arrows, then you're likely facing Greg Diakomahalis, a two-time state champion, in the semifinals, and you see what happens. I mean, the semifinals, usually brings out the best in wrestlers. Diakomahalis is a tough kid, obviously. The favorite at this weight. Dylan's a senior. He wants to go out with placing better than last year in 5th, and we'll see what happens. 120, and you look at Marco Vespa, and he placed 4th last year at 113, and he's a 7th seed in this weight class, Josh. I know it's a deep weight class. Some of these seedings are really tough on Section 9 wrestlers this year. You look at the season Vespa's had. He's similar to Dylan Earl. He's 34-4. Didn't place at the Eastern States. A little bit of a shocker there. A little banged up toward the end of the season. But, Howie's the 7th seed at this weight class. I mean, Zach Redding pretty well. He's the 6th seed. So this has got to be a pretty deep weight if those guys are the 6th and 7th seeds.
Yeah, like you mentioned, Marco 4th here at 113 last year. Zach Redding 3rd at 106. Both very credentialed wrestlers, and they're 6th and 7th seeds. So, yeah, it just speaks to how deep the weight class really runs here at 120. Yeah,
because didn't Marco wrestle for 3rd place last year? Anthony Scotto, who's the top seed this year.
Yes, that is true. They wrestled twice last year.
Yeah, they clashed a lot, and Scotto's the number 1 seed. Marco's, I know we're basing it on this year's wrestling, of course. It's the point system where you get so many points for certain wins, and I don't know. I mean, and you know what? Marco's first round match isn't a gimme. He's facing freshman from South Glen Falls, Brock DeSignor. How would you pronounce that? DeSignor. DeSignor. I got to get that right. So, I mean, 36-3 Brock is, and if he wins that match, which you expect him to, he's an experienced state wrestler. Devin Woodworth of Horseheads, the 2nd seed, would be next, and, who knows? Maybe Redding and Vespa meet each other in the semifinals as the 6th and 7th seed at the bottom of that bracket. 126 is Matt Romano, Valley Central sophomore. Matt was a wild card in the state tournament last year. He is now a section champion, going in at 29-7, and he draws a kid from Mount Vernon, Nahashi Sharp, if I got the pronunciation right, a Section 1 champion. I apologize. And Matt Romano's in a lot of matches. He's similar to a Greg Fisher style. The matches are usually pretty close, and I don't know much about the Mount Vernon kid, to be honest with you, Josh. I haven't seen him wrestle. This is Matt's 2nd time up there. See what he can do in that opening round match. And if he wins, he gets a really tough kid in Justin McDougall, who was a finalist at 113 last year.
Yeah, like you said, Justin McDougall would be a tough quarterfinal match. McDougall also a freshman national finals last year, so he's, like you said, well experienced and a pretty tough wrestler.
Yeah, and then we'll go to 132, and that's, good to see Connor Griner back up at the state tournament. This will be his 3rd time wrestling in Albany. Last year he was injured and didn't get a wild card into the state tournament. And now he's the 4th seed here. He goes against Cole French of Fulton, the Section 3 champ, who is 25-10 in his first round match. Connor's 43-4 this year. He has 160 career wins. But you know what he's missing, Josh? That state medal. And I think that this year, this year is a year he's definitely going to get on the podium. Where is the question? And, when you look at this bracket, he's going to have a tough match in the quarterfinals against Alex Sampson of Victor. Alex placed 4th at 120 last year. If he gets by Sampson, you're looking at a rematch against returning state champ Justin Vines. You saw that match up at the state duels. Talk to me a little bit about if that match happens. That's going to be a great one.
Yeah, it's going to be another great match. 5-3 was the final in the state dual finals, and just as time expired, Connor was in on a shot against Justin, and they're in like sort of a scramble position as time ran out. And I think that it's very possible for Griner to get past him and into the finals. They beat the Saudis.
Yeah, I mean he's gonna have. I mean this is a tournament, and you look at Conor Griner. He just knows how to win matches. He's got the experience. He's been wrestling for Minnesota Inc. This is his 5th varsity season. This could be his moment this weekend in Albany. He's definitely a wrestler to watch in the section. We'll go to 138, and at 138 we have Dom Vetrano. Dom Vetrano, a 3-time Section 9 champion. He's also looking for his first medal. And what a season Dom's had this year. He has 43 wins, and 32 of those wins are by pin. And a couple more are by technical fall. He's really rolled this season. And he's pinned 9 of his last 11 opponents. So he's been on quite a roll toward the end. And he is seated 8th in this bracket. He will wrestle Jacob DeWolf of Niagara Wheatfield in the first round, 38-12. Expect Dom to get past that match. And then, his opponent, Dom wrestled him in the Eastern States. It was a 10-7 match. Anthony Sabacher got him. But, here's the rematch is all set up for Dom in the quarterfinals. And this is another pretty highly anticipated match in my eyes, Josh.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited to see this rematch again. This is more of a wide open weight class. It's mainly the 1 and 2 seeds that are the most dominant wrestlers here. But I am very excited to see a Eastern States rematch in the quarters between Vetrano and Sabacher.
Yeah, Sabacher, he wrestled 145 in the state last year, Josh, and took 3rd. And now he's down at 138. You don't normally see that a lot. He's a senior, so we'll see. Dom's kind of a pretty strong 38-pounder, isn't he?
Yeah, he even had Anthony Sabacher locked up in a cradle at one point in their match in the Eastern States.
Yeah, that's going to be a great one. That's something that if you're going to be at the Times Union Center on Friday, you're going to want to watch that quarterfinal, no doubt. 145, Dom's twin brother Vinny Vetrano makes his 2nd straight trip to Albany. Vinny is the 7th seed. Vinny is 33-7 this year, and he's got a pretty tough first-round match, Josh. I just look at the record and who Jack Spawn's faced out of Islip. Have you seen him wrestle and what he's all about?
Yes, I watched him wrestle in the Section 11 championships, and he's a very tough and competitive wrestler. He's in it with some of the best in Section 11, so that's going to be a tough first-round match for Vinny.
Yeah, he's only a freshman, Spawn, so I mean it's senior versus freshman. Maybe there's some experience on Vinny's side, and if Vinny can get past Spawn, he's going to get Kieran Shanahan, who was a finalist here at 145 in the next round. It's a tough draw for Vinny, and he's had a really good season. So we'll see if he can get a couple wins here and maybe get on the medal stand in Albany. 152. We know this is going to be a pretty highly anticipated, not highly anticipated, but you got Corey Teamer going for his 5th state title here, Josh. From Long Beach, and Matt Grippy, who's a 2-time state finalist, who's the 2 seed out of Fox Lane. Those guys are probably on a collision course for the finals this year, right?
Yeah, no doubt. I will say that the semifinal, central semifinal between Cooper Krautman and Matt Grippy was a very intense and down to the wire Eastern States match. But Grippy, the experienced senior, will likely be on point for the finals this weekend.
Yeah, Section 9's entries here are Tyler Serafini, Newberg Jr., 44-3 this year. He is the 8th seed. He's got Hunter Hoffmeyer of Newark Valley, who's 27-4. That could be a match that Tyler can certainly win, and then he would get Teamer in the quarterfinals. And I think he's wrestled Teamer before at the Eastern States, I want to say, this year. And then we have a wild card, the first wild card. Josh, only 2 wild cards from Section 9 this year. Joe Pushman of Walk Hill, he's a senior. He gets the 5th seed, Connor Thomas of Yorktown. Thomas is 43-5 this year. Pushman is 38-8. We'll go to 160. Sean Burgos, like the way Sean Burgos has wrestled this year, Josh. He just is a physical kid, and he can pull out wins in the end. He's 32-3. He placed at the Eastern States Classic. He's the 4th seed here. And he's got Jesse Johnson of Horseheads 28-6 in the first round. If he wins, he has J.D. Moore of Levittown Division, possibly in the quarterfinals. He's the 5th seed. Don't know much about Moore. You know anything about Moore?
I do not either.
Nah. So I mean, then you're looking at if Burgos can pull off a couple wins in the main bracket. Jake Silverstein, 2-time state finalist, would likely be waiting in the semifinals. So I look for Sean to have a pretty good tournament. If he doesn't place, I would be shocked, to be honest with you.
Yeah, very strong chance of placing. Like you said, very tough wrestler. Always seems to pull out the matches in the end. And yeah, I agree with you. If he doesn't place, I'd be surprised as well.
You know, I highlight this match in my MID1 kind of bios. For 170, Tim Ganuncio, he's a menacing senior. This is his first state tournament appearance. He's facing Grant Cuomo Brewster Sr. Cuomo is a finalist last year. He wrestled Warwick's Ryan Farrow, Ryan Pindham, and Cuomo's back. He was a little bit banged up during the season. He's really had his eyes on the state title this year. You have Tyler Barnes, a returning state champ, at the top of the bracket. So Tim Ganuncio wrestled Ryan Farrow. Probably some of the toughest matches Farrow had in his last couple of years were against Ganuncio last year, Josh. Now, does that transfer to this year? We'll see when Tim gets up there, but he's not going to back down against Cuomo, no doubt.
Yeah, I agree with you on that one, especially being a senior. You want to in your first state tournament, you're going to want to put on a show and try to get on that medal stand the last year.
He's 42-5, Ganuncio, and Cuomo's wrestled 22 matches this year. Dude, he's been a little banged up. 19-3 on the season. We'll go to 182, where here's another where you look at the seeds, and Joey Yanis is the 8th seed at this weight class, and he has 2 losses this year, Josh, and they're both at the Eastern States. He's 43-2, and he's the 8th seed in this weight, and some people were shocked where he fell. And you look at the people who are in this weight class. Jake Logan is the top seed. He placed 4th at 170 last year. Joey's going to likely wrestle Jake Logan in the quarterfinals because he's got Odine Gray, who he pinned at the Eastern States from the PSAL in the first round. And Joey's had a lot of pins this year. The Minnesota coaches are very confident that he can make a run, even knock off Jake Logan if he needs to wrestle him in the quarterfinals. I mean, you're looking at when the season started, you thought he was going to be one of the main guys to make a run in Albany. We'll see what happens this weekend.
Yeah, Jake Logan, really strong, solid wrestler. We saw him take home an Eastern State Championship, and Joey's got his hands full in the quarterfinals, but Joey himself, really strong, tough wrestler, so it'll be an interesting match to see because they didn't get to hit at the Eastern States, so.
Yeah, another one possibly to look forward to in the quarterfinals. We go to 195, and here's, you look at 195, Section 9 has 2 entrants, and they're the highest seeds of the section at Division I wrestlers. You have Sam Santander of Monroe Woodbury Jr. He's the number 2 seed in this weight class. He's 11-1. He was banged up with a wrist injury most of the season. I wrote a story about him during the week, and this is a lot. This story is very similar to Kendall Elstrom last year, Josh. Kendall didn't wrestle a lot last year with a back injury. Came into the state tournament with, I think probably like 16 matches, somewhere around there, and won a state title. I know that Jonathan Lowe is a handful as the top seed in this weight class from Wantagh. He's the favorite, overwhelming favorite. But if the seeds hold true, could there be a Section 9 semifinal between Sam Santander and Max DeCapua, sophomore from Newburgh Free Academy, the 3rd seed?
Yeah, I haven't been able to watch Sam Santander wrestle a whole lot, but I have watched Max, and he's a very, very strong wrestler, it seems, for a sophomore. And you never know. Steve Holsey could have an all-Section 9 semifinal at 195.
Yeah, Max has a tough match against Jordan Innocent of East Ramapo in the first round as Section 1. He gets past that. He's seen a couple of these wrestlers and beat them. He's beat Dylan Neerich of Bryant. He's beat Reggie Melvin, I believe, twice this year, the 7th seed from Niskayuna. So that's what happened in this seeding. Max won 4 matches against state qualifiers, but he lost to Sam Santander in the semifinals of the section. So Sam jumped him seeding wise to second. So we look at 220 here for Section 9, and we got Will Leonard. Will Leonard's kind of a not really under the radar guy, but he's had a really solid season. Josh, 36-3, Cornwall Junior, placed 4th at the Eastern States. He's got the 5th seed here. He's got Aiden Lilly of New Rochelle, who is actually the 2nd place finisher out of Section 1, 33-7 in the first round. And then if he wins that match, which I think he will, he'll face Leo Rabinovich of Tottenville, who beat him 9-3 in the regular season. So you get the kind of rematch. You know how the guy wrestles. Leonard could get to the semifinals in this tournament, I believe.
Yeah, very strong possibility. Like you said, he's one of the more under the radar guys in terms of Section 9. When you think of Section 9, you think of like the Connor Griner, Marco Vespa, all those people. And yeah, Will Leonard coming at the 5 seed, very, very good shot at making the semifinals.
Elijah Rodriguez of Long Beach is the top dog here at 220. He's wrestling up, isn't he?
Yeah, I don't believe he wrestled many matches this year at 220. I know he wrestled Eastern States at 95, and I don't think he's had that many at 220. Interesting.
And then the 2 seed here is Joe Andreessen of Lancaster, who was 5th at 182 last year. 285, you got Andrew Fenner, and Andrew Fenner is a senior from Minisink Valley. He's has 39 wins this year. His first round match is a rematch of an Eastern States bout against Trenton Rupert of Newark Valley. Rupert pinned him, so Fenner maybe learned a few things from that match, and we'll see how he does at 285. Top seed here is Deontay Wilson of Amityville, 2nd here last year at the same weight. Probably pretty good favorite here, right? How's Joey Slackman of Comac, Josh?
Joey Slackman did go on to win Eastern States, but Deontay had to default out at the quarterfinals. Deontay then took him out in the Section 11 finals by a score of 5-1. Gotcha.
So, it could be a Long Island final. We'll have to see. Fenner's a guy who likes to wrestle matches close, and usually the joke around Section 9 is he likes to take it to the ultimate tiebreaker a lot. And, if he can pull out maybe a win here and a close victory there, maybe he'll be on the medal stand. That'll be our review of Division 1. We'll hit Division 2 quickly. Just going over real quick, we'll touch on Section 9 guys. Nico Walsh, 99 pounds. Nico's had a really solid season for Ron Valley. This is his 2nd time at the state tournament. He wrestled here last year, so he's got some experience. And, he's a 3rd seed, Josh, at this weight class. And, Mason Bush of Central Valley Academy is the top wrestler here. Nico has a chance to get on a medal stand. I've seen him wrestle a couple times. He's pretty solid. He wrestled pretty well at the Eastern States Classic, picked up a few wins. He's only a freshman, and he's got a bright future, I think.
Yeah, completely. I think they have a very strong possibility of making it to the finals here. As a 3 seed, he hasn't wrestled the 2 seed yet this season, but he did beat the number 7 seed twice this year. He lost. He lost to the number 7 seed. He beat the number 4 seed twice this year, and I believe he can make a run to the finals.
Like we said, bright future there. 106 pounds is Red Hook sophomore Matt Morris. He is unseeded. He'll take on Carter Bear of Gouverneur. He's only an 8th grader, Bear, but he placed 6th at 99 pounds last year. We'll go to 113. Eric Ty pretty well. He's only an 8th grader from Port Jervis. First state tournament. What's your feeling with Eric? Eric is got a 6th seed. He knocked off John Charles, 2016 state champ during the regular season. I have him as one of the bright wrestlers, like a Walsh, coming through the Section 9 pipeline here.
Eric, very, very tough wrestler. He's experienced 4th and 8th grader in terms of he's done a lot of wrestling before the season, but first year varsity wrestler, and as a 6th seed, I think he has a chance to go to Mill Stand this weekend.
Yeah, this is weird in Division II this year. They're actually allowed independent schools in on Division II, so that's why there's out bracket matches, Hackley schools and independent schools like that. So Eric is he's waiting for somebody to win an out bracket match, and then he'll get either Sarles from Malone or Cummings from Salem Cambridge, and then if he wins that match, Matt Garland would likely be waiting in the quarterfinals. He's placed 3rd at 106 last year. He's from South Jefferson, Sandy Creek. We'll go to 120. I love Ethan Polanka, Josh. He's a guy I knew nothing about at the beginning of the year. I've talked to the kid twice, once after he won the section title at 120, again at the Section 9 practice last week. The kid his career record is 45-2. He's 35-2 this year. He travels down to Teterboro, New Jersey to do club practices from New Paltz. That's a haul. He's putting in the time. He's seated 8th in this weight, and I think he'll win his opening round match, and then he's going to have a really tough match against Trent Saviglia, a 106-pound champion last year, but I think that he could probably win a couple matches here and be really close to placing in his first state tournament. He worked out with Minnesota Club back in the day too. So, and his dad was a New Paltz wrestler, really like him. 126, Nick Ross is back in the state tournament. He'll face Zach Bradell of Tonawanda, who placed 4th at 106 last year. Tough match for Nick to start the state tournament. 132, we're back in your expertise there. Carson Salzchuk, he's in one of these out bracket matches, Josh. And he's facing a pretty tough kid, Kyle Sams of Pleasant Valley Haldane, who's 36-5 in the first round.
Yeah, it's gonna be a tough first round match for Carson, but you mentioned Sam's 36-5, Carson 32-5 himself, so. He'll likely he'll push Sands, and hopefully he can win a couple matches and get on the Mill Stand weekend.
Yeah, the winner of that match gets Daniel Cole of Lansing, the 6th seed. So that's just in the round of 16, which is crazy if you think about this whole setup here. 138, another guy who I really like, as he's a great kid, Matt Mulherio. He's a 2-time Section 9 champion now, came back and won the Section 9 title, beating kids who he had lost to during the season. He draws Mike Zarif of Mount Sinai. You have any scouting report on Mike Zarif, the 5th seed?
Yes, Zarif, he's a pretty strong, pretty good wrestler. He knocked off 4-time section finalist Donald Wood in the V2 final there, and that kid was one match away from placing last year. So Zarif is a pretty tough wrestler. Maharo will have his hands full straight away in round 1.
And experience for Matt. Maybe he can. I think he can win a couple matches here up at the state tournament. 145. We have Ian Houck back, 3-time section champion. He's the 7th seed here. He's a senior. He gets Joe Evangelista of Port Jefferson in the first round. Going to be a tough match for Ian, you think, or?
I think Ian. It'll be a tough match, but I think Ian gets past the first one. But in the second round, they'll face returning state finalist Jack Lakina, who's just another hammer out of Section 11. So, but Ian, 7th seed, very experienced in the state tournament, could see himself win a couple matches here and find himself with a medal. He's
pretty high on the all-time active wins leaders right now for Section 9. Ian's up in the 160s, and I think only maybe Dylan Ross might have more wins actively right now in Section 9 than Ian. He's been around a lot. Section 9, state tournament 3rd time. He didn't get the best draw in the world, but I'm sure he'll make the best out of it. He's going to wrestle, I believe, at RIT next year. 152, Drew Harrison, Port Jervis Jr. Drew gets a chance. At Division 1, he would certainly compete in Division 1 at Division II, he's the class of the at the weight class in Section 9, and now he gets a chance, finally, a well-deserved chance to see what he can do at the state tournament, right, Josh?
Yeah, it's another kid who, for his size, is a really, really strong wrestler, which could give some people some problems at 52. And even though he's starting an out bracket, I'm pretty confident in saying that I believe Drew could win some matches here this weekend, and maybe find himself either in the blood round or on the medal stand.
Yeah, he'll have win the out bracket. You get Dempsey Carroll of Copenhagen, the 5th seed, 160 pounds. A kid from Red Hook, Tristan Shifo. He is a 4-time Section 9 finalist. He gets his first chance his senior year. He wins the state. He wins the sections. He gets to go to the state tournament. He is unseeded here. Has a tough match against the 5th seed. He's a hard-nosed wrestler. I think he's not going to be done after that first round. I think that kid battles a lot, and I expect him to win a couple matches at 160 no matter what. I think this is the best chance for Section 9 to have a finalist, Josh, and Dylan Ross at 170 in Division 2. He's a 3rd seed here. He's really had a great season, and he's placed at the Eastern States Classic. I believe this is his 4th time at the state tournament. He's definitely ready for this tournament, and he'll get maybe Robbie Penhollow, the 2nd seed of Falconer, in the semifinal. I expect Dylan Ross to get to the semifinals, no doubt. I think pound for pound, he may be the best wrestler in the section this year.
Yes, pretty tough wrestler. You said very experienced at the state tournament. He's been here a couple times and 3 seed and this year, and looked really strong in Eastern States. And like you said, one of the section's best chances at getting a finalist.
43-2 on the season, 173-38 in his career. If he gets to the finals, he could face Ross McFarland of Phoenix. They wrestled at the Eastern States. I believe it was a 1-point match. McFarland won. So, Ross is right there among the best in the state, no doubt. 182, Jason Butler, senior, similar to Drew Harrison. Port moves to D2. Jason, it was a really good Division 1 wrestler, and now he's the best wrestler in Division 2 for Section 9. His first time up to Albany. Comes from a wrestling family, Josh. I covered his brother Steven, who was an amazing wrestler. His brother Kevin wrestled for Port Jervis. There's wrestling in Jason's blood. What can he do up at the state tournament this week?
I think that he has a pretty decent shot at winning some matches. One of his only downsides would be that he spent the majority of the season at 70. So he's kind of undersized for 182, but I believe he has the shot to win some matches here this weekend, no doubt.
Yeah, he has he's unseeded. He draws the 5th seed in the first round. Pull off a win there, you could get the 4th seed, and he'll win a couple matches. I would think here. And 195 is Ryan Hobson of Red Hook, a senior. He faces Richie Knapp of Susquehanna Valley, the 4th seed in the first round. 220 pounds. Kid's one of the most enthusiastic wrestlers I've ever seen after winning a section title. Is Devin Dixon, New Paltz Jr., football player, wrestled, was not going to come out for the team this year, was convinced by Ryan Pullman and staff to give it a try, won a section title. I believe he has 27 wins this year. He only had 10 wins last year, Josh. And he, I believe, lost his first match in the Section 9 tournament. So you're talking about most improved wrestlers. He's up there. He gets the 4th seed Tyler Rice of Norwich. We'll see how Devin can do in the state tournament. And last but not least, Liam Dietrich is a big individual, Josh. Kid is massive. And this is his first, I was looking at his career record, and, this year he's definitely broken out. He's 29-5. Career, he's 41-20. So that means last year he was a under 500 wrestler. I don't know how. He was a freshman wrestling 285. Maybe that's what it was. But he's pretty impressive. He's the 6th seed here at 285. Gets Kier Parker of Chautauqua in the first round. And then, it wins that match. He gets the 3rd seed. But he's a kid who has a chance to place here. Just watch him wrestle. He's pretty strong. He's pretty athletic, and I think that maybe Red Hook gets a medal out of Liam Dietrich this weekend in Albany. We just reviewed all the Section 9 wrestlers, broke down some weight classes. Overall, Josh and I again will be up there Friday and Saturday at the Times Union Center. You can follow the results on Varsity 845's Twitter account. We'll be on Instagram as much as we can with Josh's photos and some match videos. We'll try to do some YouTube videos. Can't go live with these matches, but I'll try to post taped results, and we'll see what happens, Josh. I mean, like we said, last year's senior class was a very special class in Section 9. Let's see what this year's senior class can do to try to match them this weekend in Albany.
Yeah, definitely. It's going to be a fun weekend.
Well, thanks for joining us. We'll have all the coverage on Varsity 845's platforms throughout Instagram and Twitter throughout the weekend. Thanks, Josh. Been fun.